I have an illuminated star here in my hand for the new Mercedes S-Class. An extensive update, can we even say new? Mercedes says 50% of all parts, so 2,700 parts, are updated now with this most extensive S-Class facelift ever in exterior, interior, and also some driving and technology updates. And we'll tell you all you need to know with Thomas Nautegefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with a completely new front. First of all, the front grille is larger for even more status, as Mercedes says. Then you have these tiny stars here on the inside. This is the sensor plate, but even behind the sensor plate, or on the sensor plate, they have like continued this star pattern here. And you can also see, this is a very unique thing indeed. Here, the lower part, this one here, is black now. And in the silver paint, you do see that. If you have a black car, you don't see it. But here in all other paints, you do see that this part is all black. They make like a transition then here to the headlamps, so to speak. They are, by the way, here the digital light, not only with the star daytime running light, but they also now have 40% more lighting power, 600 meter of high beam range. This is the AMG line, has these sportier accentuations in the lower part, left and right. But besides that, there's not so much difference between AMG line and not AMG line like with other models. And you saw it initially here. This top star here now is standard, and it's also illuminated, at least in some countries. In EU markets, it will not be allowed yet. In Northern America, for example, this is allowed. So the EU regulation, yeah, always takes a little bit more time than we gotta see about that. Tell me what you think about this illuminated standing star on top of the hood. Then this one here is the long wheelbase model. It's also the standard version in North America. 5 meters 30, 209 inches. In Europe, for example, we could, or also other markets, we could also get a short wheelbase version. It's a little bit shorter. And the Maybach version, the top luxury version, is even longer wheelbase. Wheels 19 to 21 inch. These are in the middle part. Let's say this 20 inch here. New wheel designs are available. 18 inch smaller ones theoretically also available if you have, like, you know, bad roads and so on. So they also do offer that. Then you have this typical S-Class shape, and you can always remember that here, like the end of the rear door is on height of the middle of the wheel. This is like a typical S-Class design element. Very interesting, right? Standard air suspension and also rear axis steering up to 4.5 degrees in the opposite direction. That's standard. Optionally, you can also get 10 degrees in the opposite direction, and that is again with this, the car can always do that theoretically, but you still have to unlock that feature with an extra. Yeah, that's this extra policy. Then the rear, also some slight updates, you know, also have this kind of star logos also for the rear signature, for example, and the AMG line then would add a different lower bumper in a sportier styling. This is here, by the way, the plug-in hybrid model, which is the most sold, for example, in Germany. Taxation benefits and so on, you know. I'll also check out the trunk because this is different with the plug-in hybrid. Let's take a look under the hood. By the way, here with the suspension, yeah, door handles here are always like these flush door handles. Yeah, there we go. I'm more a fan of the classic door handles. I mean, they are manual as soon as they open. Yeah, door handles is always a big thing. Quickly take a look under the hood. There we go. And the lineup is as follows. It's the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder, as we see here, as petrol, as diesel, or petrol plug-in hybrid. And then you get some like 80 kilometers, 50 miles of real-world range electric with the plug-in hybrid, for example, and a very popular model meanwhile. And you also still get the 4-liter V8. That's also possible. And the AMG, once again, we expect then with the V8 plug-in hybrid. The exact engine data, specs and figures you can also find in the video description and in a separate data comment. Important to know is that you now get MHEV updates, so mild hybrid for all engines. Yeah, or if they are the plug-in, then of course you have to have the plug-in instead of the mild hybrids. But in general, more electrifications than for all engines. And if you wonder, yeah, this has to be powered somewhere, somehow. There it is. So maybe not the most beautiful thing from under the hood. Then it has to be like tucked in here underneath the dampening. Yeah, maybe you'll just show your friends the top side then. Now let's check out the interior, because Mercedes says they have listened to customer feedback to improve interior details, and there will be some very interesting details, I can promise. Here now, the key fob, this is the same. And then when we open the vehicle or approach it, when you have that automatic setting, here the door hands come toward us, illumination, and then they are actually manual. Let's see about the soft close. There we go. So soft close is also available, magic. One more time. Ta-da! But also let's still check out door closing sound, really nice, typical S-Class. Yeah, really nice door closing sound as well. Then inside of the doors, first news, top part, also soft touch already. And then they have improved this decor element. So this is like an additional decor element, and in this case, matte wood. I really like that matte wood, feels really nice, looks pretty cool. This is here not moving, so they haven't updated that. Now in the all new models, this one moves again, that you have like a feedback. Seat cooling is available, seat heating, more matte wood here. 4 window levers, yeah, need to mention that these days. And here the inside is also covered then, you know, so it's not just like black plastic or something like that. And you also have this 4D Burmester sound system. And also illuminated entry sill badge. In this case, AMG line, you have also these AMG floor mats. Although otherwise this car has not so much to do with AMG. New air vents here, for example, in this round style. Also looks a little bit like a monster, right? You know, like when, like some, you know, monsters from computer games or something like that. Tell me in the comments. But it looks very interesting also here with the illumination and so on. Steering wheel, also news that you now have once again physical dials here for the cruise control. Glad to see that. Right side also a volume roller. So this is exactly where they listen to the customer feedback, one of the first things. Seats, this is already one of the optional surfaces here. Most specs contain all animal skin. Here the cushions are from microfiber. There is now also an animal-free version available. Cannot show that to you today, but we try to find out more about that when we can see it. But it's good that they also at least now offer this kind of alternative. However, BMW does way more in this respect, also in the higher top segments. And here the steering wheel with electric control, in and out, up and down. There we go. And also completely new landscape with the screens, but we can better check that out than from the cockpit perspective. So there's more news than you might expect. First of all, the most visible one, new screen layout. The S-Class so far had this vertical layout, and now it gets basically the super screen from the Mercedes E-Class in the new generation, digital instruments, 14.4 infotainment in the middle part, and then also standard here, the passenger display where you have the things mirrored. However, you also have this whole black panel where it doesn't seem like much connect or something like that. And then here, for example, the climate unit is now here. Let's see here, ignition. So there's the climate unit. You also have the visualization here in the ambient lighting. So they always play a lot with ambient lighting. I think it's actually quite a funny feature. In comparison to the predecessor had like a larger climate unit to click, I have to say. So here, also like in the E-Class, it's a little bit more complicated to click, so to speak, but still logical with this overlay, so to speak. And even more important maybe is that you know, you have this larger app view, so this is easier to control while driving. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is of course also available. So then the whole hardware has been updated. It's a completely new system indeed. What is very interesting actually here with the GPS, it looks like Mercedes interface like always, but the back end now is Google Maps. So you have the navigation via Google Maps, whereas it looks like the Mercedes GPS. Interesting, right? Then here you have some hotkeys here, and there's actually a nice integration here. So this looks better than this black extra button before. It's still only capacitive, however, and you have some kind of like vibration feedback, so to speak, when you click through the different driving modes here. And then underneath you have inductive charging pads, 2 next to each other. I would suppose they are also ventilated. Nice matte wood here in the symmetrical style, different stylings for you, but the matte wood is definitely the best, honestly. Here, now, big news. You know that I always complain about Mercedes cup holders because the old ones don't hold bottles tight enough. Now they have this 4-dot design. It's also really soft how you can push them in. So these are now indeed the most premium cup holders you could imagine. Also with illumination here. So well done, Mercedes, listening to the customer and to our feedback now to have really good adaptive cup holders, adding more customer value. Because that might be a small thing, but while driving it's also important. 2 USB-C chargers are also right there. You can also put your phone there, maybe if you want to have it clean, then closed here. Nice calm atmosphere while driving. Then here, space for your elbow. A little bit softened up, split armrest and 2 more USB-C chargers underneath. It's maybe good for all productions where we then go with the car from A to B to C to D to the next studio shooting, and then can always quickly recharge our whole camera equipment and so on. Headroom, by the way, with let's see, lowest position 189 6 for 2 is close, but still some headroom left here. And this is also the panoramic roof with a slider. This is the one you can still actually open to leave some fresh air in, and there of course also shades available both for the front and for the rear. And I also really like this top ceiling, the bright atmosphere here. This is really beautiful covered. Also the microfiber here, the sun visor. This is really cool. Light also for the driver, and not to forget, there are still some cars that have that here side and then also the front one, because in some situations you might really need that. And even this is here from microfiber, and me as a car enthusiast, I really appreciate this attention to detail that even this one then is covered with microfiber. So might be a small thing for some, but if you pay so much money for the vehicle, and of course it gets more expensive with this facelift, couple of €1,000, then you really appreciate these details. And here, once again, you can see, by the way, the ambient lighting that goes all the way through, like in an expensive yacht, like these super expensive, billionaire boats. You also have, sometimes you call it river hoop, that it goes all the way across the interior. It's, I think, one of the most beautiful parts here. For some it's maybe too much, but I think it's actually quite cool. Then here the glove box also folds down in a very smooth way. Also has this fabric covering from the inside. This is also a reason why you would then maybe go for an S-Class, that these small details are better. And I honestly have to say that the S-Class and the new generation in general had really some shortcomings also from the quality build stuff and so on, and they have really addressed these shortcomings here now and made everything more beautiful, more customer oriented in the practical sense, and also improved material finishes and some additional decor elements and so on. So this is actually a very nice upgrade. The only thing, as I said, I would wish for are like high grade leatherette, better quality than this seats, to make it customer available, that they can go animal free, but at the same time have the same visual part of the seat. Their animal skin alternative is a linen fabric on the inside, which surely has great quality. But fabric seats are not for everyone. Some love them, but globally, especially like on North American market, Asian markets, they rather would like to have the same visual, but then make it just animal friendly, So gotta think about the strategy there. And we gotta talk about this here. There's like an additional symbol on the seatbelt, a new option. And you won't believe it, this is hot. So it's a warm seatbelt, and it is connected to activating the seat heating and plugging in the seatbelt, and then this one gets hot and to a temperature of 44 degrees Celsius or 111 degrees Fahrenheit. So, but it doesn't feel that hot, so you don't burn your hands or something like that. But when you feel it, it gets notably hot indeed, an additional luxury feature. It is, of course, in some way limiting that the more you wear, the less you feel it. And even just, under the shirt is, of course, insulating against the skin. So the more you would feel it when you would be driving naked. Probably won't do that. Maybe with privacy glass around, right? But it's not that much intense, that's why I also make it that hot, but you rather feel it when you touch it for real. But it might be like an additional nice like warming feature in wintertime and so on. Re-rolling. Sorry about that. I was just using these special Mercedes design. It actually looks like a key fob a little bit, right? Like these, where do we have the key fob? You know, like key fob headphones. Why not? So now the rear luxury interior of the updated S-Class. First of all, this is here the normal long wheelbase version. And if we have the seat like in a normal driving position, I still already have enough legroom, no doubt about that. Soon I'm going to show you the fold flat function. Here, new air vents in the middle part. This also looks quite fancy. You still have like an own climate unit. This is one button that moves together with everything basically. And then in the lower part, some more USB-C chargers, also HDMI support. And then you have this middle console because you have the 5-seater setup, which is like this. Oh, I love that here, the illumination of the seat belt lockers here, so or holders. I mean, this is theoretically a 5-seater, but maybe for like emergency situations it's possible, but there's also the 4-seater version. Then you would have like this luxury middle console, so to speak. But here at least you are flexible, and then you can fold down this one here again, more of this beautiful wood. Leah actually wants to have this at home as a floor, you know, like this. She likes this like wooden floor. We have just like very old wooden floor at the moment, which needs some renovating, honestly. And then here, adaptive cup holders. So this is like a smartphone or a tablet holder. Then you have here these phones as inserts, where you can also control stuff like screen and so on. Not sure if you would really use that. Yeah, at the moment it's not connected, but this in a way you could put it in your own hand and control something like that. Here, for example, you can also start a seat massage for the rear from here and so on. There's then here some space underneath, inductive charging pad or 2 USB-C chargers. And well, you cannot fold the seats, but you can have more headphones. Hello there. And then you also can activate like the ski hatch from here to the trunk. This is the only thing you can actually do. Buy headphones. And I've always shown you some news from the seat belts in the front. It's not the new, but you still have that here as part of the fond package, the belt bag. So this one inflates in a little bit. So like if you should have like a crash and it, like really like holding you tight, then an inflated bag is actually applying less pressure, or it's like it distributes the pressure more, you know, over the whole body. That's a very interesting thing. Then headroom here in the rear. It's 89, 6 for 2, still some headroom left, and once again the beautiful covered ceiling. Also here the massive door handles and so on. Look at that additional speaker of the Burmester sound system. They always give you like a very original true sound of the audio source. And then we have here the also like seat cooling in the rear, seat heating, more beautiful matte wood also from the cover from the inside of the door. And then I press here this fold flat button. There we go. Seems I have to hold it then in this case. And let's see how far it goes. And then there's also this additional footrest. This always takes some time. There we go. Also beautiful ambient lighting integration here at the inside of the doors, by the way. This also looks pretty fancy. I like it also with transition. You know, of course, you can also go like for a mono color. That would also be available. Oh, now my seat is activating. This lower calf rest you have as well. Angle you can also change yourself, you know, so also if you don't want to have this folding flat thing, this is absolutely fine. And there we go. And this one is lifting. Oh, maybe take off my shoes first while holding that. So now gonna have time for that, but now I'm a little bit stuck with my shoes. So there we go. So now that should be, yeah, that's the full length here, so to speak. Yeah, comfortable position. However, you have to see that with my body length, it's not that I can like fully stretch. That would be made like this. So I need like this more space for fully stretchable. I mean, it's still like, you know, on a high level. But indeed, I would say when you're like maybe like 184, 6'1", 6 foot, then you could like extremely fully stretch. But I mean, I can find my position here, but just that you know. But here it's like the rest then for your feet. And this is, of course, then the executive position here in the updated S-Class. So, oh, and by the way, the 13-inch screens here, these are also new, so they are larger than before. Let's see here. There we go. So, these are new screens. They're also quicker than before, good resolution. Would you go for these rear entertainment monitors, or would you rather just use your own smartphone? And tell me in the comments. Oh, it moved a little bit here from the angle because when the seat is forward. Also, by the way, very beautiful that you have the matte wood here at the back part of the seat as well. So it's also a very cool feature. Trunk or boot, 530 liters, the general trunk, or 345 liters for the plug-in hybrid, which we have here. So then you're a little bit limited. First of all, the width, about 90 centimeters, 36 inches, something like that in the deeper part. And then here, the cabin trolley in the plug-in hybrid hardly fits in vertically underneath. That's a problem. And also here is the subwoofer. So there's two limitations. If you have subwoofer, you have less space here. Otherwise, you would have like a additional cubby hole here if you don't have the subwoofer. And then the plug-in hybrid is not that high. So here you're really limited in the height with about like 15 inches or 38 centimeters because the high voltage battery is also underneath. You can load through with the ski hatch, but that's basically it. The length is quite good. Here we are at about 1 meters 12 or 44 inches. Yeah, but plug-in hybrid thing, really limitation in the trunk. However, it's still the most popular version in Germany, for example, because you get the taxation benefits, and that also counts for many other countries. And I always like to listen to the closing sound here of the bang. That could sound a little bit more low frequency, could it? Price, by the way, just to mention it, in Germany starts from 120,000 euros approximately, a couple of thousand euros more expensive. Yeah, I mean, the car prices have been rising nevertheless. And of course, the leasing prices will be even more crucial than for the S-Class. So what are my pros and cons? By the way, here, this is like a very nice design for the studio here because it looks like this final quality and finish tunnel they have in the plant of the manufacturers, where they check for the final details. Here, by the way, the turning indicators, you've maybe seen that in like our overlay shots. So in the rear, it doesn't look that spectacular, honestly, but interesting integration also underneath these new stars here. So I think overall useful changes here, and I think the best thing about this S-Class facelift is that they really listen to customer feedback to improve details, like the cup holders. That was also like one of my main interior complaints, that the cup holders were really, really bad. And now they are like top of the game cup holders, So I think that's pretty cool. And also some of the other changes, like I love the matte wood and so on. Con, you can maybe say there are a lot of black bezels with the new infotainment system. That's maybe one thing. And I'm also not quite sure about this black element here on the front grille that leads over to the headlamps, because this is to me more the EQ design, which was not appreciated by the customers. Then again, using these star patterns, I mean, why not? Is it too much star pattern use for your taste? You can see also the indicators then appear right where they are then in the daytime running light. So tell me if you think that more star usage is actually cool using the core identity, or if it's maybe too much for you. But I think the vehicle works very well. Using this illuminated star, why not? Being a little bit more playful. And I'm most happy about these details on the interior, which they've changed then according to the customer feedback. Now the big question remains, would you go for an S-Class or maybe BMW 7 Series or Audi A8? We have more videos on these.